Alright, so that's it for Season of the Plunder. Look, I'm not going to talk about Destiny's seasonal model, which has grown beyond stale at this point, nor am I going to talk about the tremendous letdowns in the latter half of the season with these so called community events. What I want to talk about is the storytelling of the game in particular. I see that there's a stark contrast in the well established lore and how it is written versus the lukewarm narrative we are met with in the seasonal model. I believe that the written lore that we get in tabs and flavored texts of weapons, armor, equipment, so on and so forth, and in Bungie's own published books are a gold standard for the game's depth of storytelling. In contrast, I believe the narrative that Bungie presents to us in the game is hugely inferior, not only in depth of detail, but of substance as well. Meaning, where I find the lore to hold profound information of legends, destinations, myths, and histories of the universe, the narrative told in game is far too elementary. It's easy to digest, it's less provoking, more safe, it doesn't challenge an inquisitive mind in regards to the mysteries of a vast, chaotic world that is Destiny. Instead, it seems relatively familiar to the limitations of our own, which kind of goes against the whole entire point of what this game sells itself on. I'll get to the point. Nazarek's story has been a letdown. To be quite fair, I didn't even know anything about the guy prior to the season, aside that he is another entry in our list of those who dabble in the dark. I know he is in direct reference to the warlike exotic helmet, Nazarek's Sin, so that name alone elicits a tone of guilt or downfall. But if that isn't convincing enough, we found out more about him in the previous season, Season of the Haunted, when you acquired the glaive, Nazarek's Whisper. Not to mention, you have this whole season dedicated to finding out there are these mysterious relics that have been kept secret by the Fallen. These relics contain the remains of a deceased Nazarek, and the intent behind dividing his corpse among prominent Elixni is their belief that he was once a source of great power. So each relic was treated as a talisman, and they were distributed. Looking at the lore of Nazarek in Destinypedia, excuse me, here's a brief rundown of the guy. He's been around since before the Golden Age. By the time the Golden Age was here and humanity thrived under a healthy traveler, Nazarek was already documented as a god of pain and would one day return, though the origins of the documentation are still unclear. During the collapse, Nazarek was in servitude with the Witness as another disciple along Orok and others. It was said that Nazarek commanded his own pyramid ship and even led the Black Fleet against humanity and the Traveler. Ultimately, his advance did not work, and his pyramid, along with his corpse, were there lying beneath the lunar surface afterward. Later, the fallen plunderers discovered his ship and him. Enter Season of the Plunder, and the Witness thaws out Aramis in exchange for her service to retrieve all relics of Nazarek. Okay, so we get the implication here. Nazarek is some spooky, dark guy, mysterious. We don't know too much about him, aside from what is known in the lore. He was strong. He was a source of great power before and during the collapse. He was a disciple to the Witness and led the Black Fleet's assault on the Traveler and humanity, though he was ultimately defeated. Now, as the Witness gathers his forces to take on the Traveler and humanity again, he charges Aramis with retrieving Nazarek. It is only here that we can speculate that the Witness wants to either revive Nazarek for the upcoming war, or perhaps he doesn't need Nazarek, but something he possesses. Who knows? We don't, or perhaps we never will, because Nazarek, by his remains, the relics themselves, were brewed down into a tea strong enough to wake up Osiris from his coma. Yeah, that's what the seasonal story led us to. And I know that's a bit hyperbolic, but that's the point I'm trying to get to in this video. Look, I can't say this is the end for Nazarick, but this wouldn't be the first time Bungie has plucked a character from the well-established lore and made them into seasonal story fodder. Why is it that a bad thing? It's bad because you disregard the level of complexity in the lore in exchange for an elementary seasonal story, and where you could have so much opportunity with expanding the universe by sharing with us, the players, the uniqueness of someone like Nazarick and his journeys, the knowledge he possesses, his point of view of the universe, humanity, the traveler, the witness, light versus dark, known versus unknown. It's a missed opportunity to build on the richness of the world Bungie already created. Instead, this established character is cast aside for a quick, we need something for this season, and we just don't know what to make it about. All we know is the witness is coming, he's on his way to Neptune, and we need to make a connection. What's even more insulting is if this is actually the end of Nazarick, a means to wake up Osiris, with something as comical as having Mithrax being the only one who could decipher the relics and draw out darkness and concentrate it into some dark magical elixir intended for good? Who even saw this coming? I was not even thinking of Osiris at all this season. I'm not even sure if he was mentioned once at all, at least not to a point that getting him back to normal would be the main narrative and drive of this season. He could have just woken up from a coma in due time like the rest of humanity. Perhaps expedited, since he's a guardian after all. Never mind a ghostless one. It's like, did those two things even have to be connected? We could have had something, anything, more profound than this last scene. And this is what I mean about the storytelling of the game, narrative-wise, versus what we get in the written lore. It happened with Korea Blade. It happened with Panoptes. It happened with Zol and Nokris, remember them? And even with Oryx and Sabathun. It's like we get so much backstory and hype about these characters, and then when they are incorporated into the game, they die off because of us. In another battle that we're surely to win for the sake of, well, we're good and you're bad. And it's reciprocated. They just want to defeat us because we are in their way. It's like the lore versions of each character is a Giga Chat, and you only wish to know more about them with the context provided thus far. You might even think that you could learn something from these guys, and that the nuance of their actions allows us to have pause on our own and reflect on what it is that we are doing as Guardians. And to Bungie's credit, we do get glimpses of that every now and then. How many times have we heard from other species that the Traveler abandoned them or wrecked their homeworld? Now even Zavala doesn't even care about it. Quite frankly, neither do I. But the fact of the matter is, we can't explore the gravity of this world and enjoy it for what it could be, because what we get isn't the Giga Chat version. It's the Winnie Hut Jr. version. I know this vid went on longer than it probably needed to, but this isn't about Season of the Plunder solely. I've been having my grievances with this game, its storytelling, its lackluster seasonal model, its partiality to the casual, low information player, among other critiques. It was in due time that I finally made a video about my concerns, rather than keeping them bottled up, or, griping to my friends ad nauseum. You don't have to be perfect with your game, Bungie. You should just want a consistently good game, with occasional gems. It just melts my brain how we can have seasonal stories like Season of the Chosen with Kydal and with Catabasis on the Glycon, Season of the Lost with a distraught Crow, Season of Arrivals with Interference and the Black Fleet invasion. Yet, We could be faced with seasons like Season of the Plunder, Season of the Haunted, Season of the Worthy, whose stories were forgettable or eclipsed by a never ending grind that would blot out any recollection nonetheless. I'll leave you with that. Thank you.